Fellow writers, are you planning for the future with your writing? Some of you don't plan at all. You just kind of fly by the seat of your pants as you write. You're saying you have enough time just writing, have a hard enough of a time just writing day to day without even trying to plan for the future. Let me tell you, well, there's a couple of different areas when I'm talking about the future here, and let me tell you why this might be beneficial for you. Okay, so I am writing well, I'm, a series, as most of you know, a superhero story. I'm working on querying the first book. Um, that means the first book isn't even published yet, okay? But I have an idea. I have ideas for a series of potentially at least five books, okay? Some of you, I know, do this too. Some of you have a whole series outlined before you even begin writing page one. I don't, I'm not even quite to that point. I kind of wrote the first one a long time ago, and then the ideas for the rest kind of just came to me over time. Um, but yeah, I have ideas for potentially more books than this. Um, so like I said, I'm querying for book one right now, hoping to get that published in the nearish future. Maybe the next year will be awesome. Um, I have outlined, no, no, I'm sorry. I have drafted book two. I have a full draft for book two that I wrote a few years ago. I'm just sitting until it's ready. Haven't drafted the rest yet, and some would say you kind of don't need to until you're a little further along the publishing journey. And I've you know, time is short, and time is in short supply. I don't have all the time in the world to work on writing. And since I'm focusing my efforts on clearing and stuff lately, I've been kind of hitting book one hard. But I do want to write the rest. Maybe for NaNoWriMo this fall, I'll tackle book three. We'll see. But yeah, I have strong ideas for book three. I've outlined it before. Um, so I kind of have the story in my head, and I do want to write it. I just haven't had really the time lately. I'm focusing on other things. But here, before I tell you my plans for book four and five, I'm gonna tell you why this might be beneficial for you. Um, it is helpful to know where you're going in advance. That's for your planning purposes. Also, sometimes for publishers, or if you are going through for a publisher, um, rather than self-publishing, I've seen some ask like, is this a series or is this potentially a series? It's good to know these things up front, and it's good to be able to plan your ideas somewhat in advance. Doesn't mean I have all of book five outlined yet. Far from that's far from the case. But I have ideas, is what I'm saying. And I've started to write them down. I have more ideas lately, and I kind of want to write them all down. I just haven't gotten around to even writing them down yet. But that's the thing when you have a story in your mind for too long, it starts burning a hole in your mind, and you just want to kind of write it down. So I am a planner. I am someone who writes in advance and kind of or who outlines and plans in advance. It doesn't have every single detail point by point written down. If that was the case, I pretty much have the whole book already. But I have these scenes in my head that play through, and I kind of just write them down when they come to me, and so I don't forget them for later. And that's excuse me. That's really part of the reason why I outlined too. It's not because I decided one day, oh, I need to have these all planned in advance. It's because I have the ideas, and I don't, and I know don't, I'm not ready to write the story yet. But I'm like, I don't want to forget, and I want to do something with this. So I kind of write down my ideas in a detailed outline, or at least a detailed document. Even if the points aren't in order, I have the content there, the ideas there, and kind of just go from there. So yeah, planning for the future is a good idea. I mean, again, may help your publisher, it may help your efforts. If you're someone who likes to write, I mean, if you're making if you're making this your pursuit, I mean, maybe a full time career, or I know a lot of us want that, or even just like a consistent thing you're doing on the side for some publicity, some income, then yeah, it's good to know where your next book is coming from. So I would encourage you, plan in advance, plan for the future, have a few books in mind. I mean, I know many of you are doing this already. Many of you, even if you don't say, even if you say you're not very good planners, many of us have good ideas, and we just haven't had time to get them all yet. So I'd encourage you, keep a running document or a few documents of your ideas. You can turn them into a rough outline, or whatever. But keep a document of your ideas so you know at least, like you have the next book on paper. I mean, at least in vague form before you even begin writing it, or the next two books or whatever. So anyway, that's my recommendation. Now I'll tell you the other way that I encourage thinking about the future, and that's for within your story, okay, within your characters. So, book three, right? Like I said, it's not written yet. I know largely the plot and such. Um, so that'll be the end of the trilogy. The book four I'm thinking of doing, and again, this is way far away. It may never happen this way. This is just my plan, my ideas right now. Okay, so this is hypothetical, all hypothetical, depending on publishers and stuff like that. But I kind of want to do a short story anthology. There's some stories that I cut out of the first book because it was super long, like character backstories and such that are basically just their origins, and I'm thinking of releasing them as short stories instead, and maybe combine those with a few other pieces I've written, a few other short stories in the same universe, and do book four as like an anthology piece. May even be less than the length of a full length novel. I'm not sure yet. And the fifth book, the next one I have ideas for, is to do it like in many years later in the future of those characters, like kind of like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, or like the Star Wars sequels. Um, I'm thinking of adding like 25-ish years to the timeline. So spoilers for anyone who's coming in. Um, I have two major male and two major female leads, and they end up being both couples, two couples, and I'm gonna do a story in the future focusing on their kids and such like that. And so I started asking myself, well, who are these characters' kids like? What powers do they have? What personalities will they have when they're growing up? I mean, for the most part, the kids haven't ended the story yet because I haven't written because they're not even born at the timeline I am. There is a kid who's like 7 years old in book two, and I'm also picturing him being part of the story. So if I did it like 25 years in the future, he'd be 32, about as old, almost as old as I am now. Um, and his dad's a supervillain, and his dad's a by the time we meet him in the future, he'll be a remorseful, dormant supervillain. But yeah, there's always potential to do something else with that character. So anyway, I've been thinking about what happens in the future for my characters. So not just planning for my own future, but planning for the future of my fictional world, my fictional characters. Um, and that's always an idea you can think of. Not saying you have to. Not saying every story needs to go that direction. Some stories have an ending, in a very clear ending, and like there's no need to look that far. Um, and and again, I didn't decide one day, oh, I need to do this. Like this is what my story has to have. I just started kind of having the ideas and thinking, what if we did this? What if they had kids? I started asking myself, well, what would the plot be? Because I can't just have these characters just existing on their own. I need a villain. I need a conflict, stuff like that. So I'm kind of started thinking through those possibilities. But yeah, I asked myself, what if my world that I've created and my characters I've created went 20, 25 years in the future? What would the story be? What would it look like then? And so I've had some recent ideas for that, kind of fleshing out my next four or five main characters in the future timeline. I haven't even written all those ideas down yet. I want to. Just I've been working a lot of stuff, but that's my encouragement to you. Think about that as a possibility for your story. So if you are writing a series or a whatever, a even a book or a long series or something like that, and there's a possibility for it, think about taking your characters into their future. If you have like main characters, who fall in love at the end, and have kids eventually, think about what would a story be, what would a story about their kids look like. Again, not saying you have to write it. Each story is different. Each story needs something different, and your story may have an ending. Your main characters may die, I don't know, and never have kids, like Romeo and Juliet. But I'm just kind of putting this out there as a creative exercise. It's always helpful to ask what if, and then and at the very least that gives you prompts for possibilities. It's a creative exercise, stirs your creativity, and maybe, just maybe, something good will come out of it, like a story or another book you could write in the future. So that's my encouragement for today. Plan for the future for your own books and your own author pursuits. Also plan for the future of your characters and think about what could they be like 20 years or more down the road. All right, thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everyone. Keep writing. Bye.